Hi, everybody. John Harris here with you, getting ready to do from the cheap seats. We're going to do our weekly football picks. Bill is on assignment. He did turn in his picks this week. I'll quickly go over our records up to date and go from there. And then we will go through our picks, or I will. I guess I keep saying we. That's the schizo part in me. All of my voices in my head are going to go over all these with you. So just only one is all you'll hear, which is better than me because I hear all of them in here all the time. So actually, we're both already 1-0. We both did pick Dallas to win the game. Bill did take we both also won with the spread, and Bill won the over-under as well with a clean sweep for Thursday night's game, and I did not. I thought it would be under, and I was sadly mistaken, as Dallas really took care of business against Seattle, but Seattle scored a lot of points as well. Actually, they barely took care of business. Seattle played well and actually probably should have won the game, but a couple of mistakes down the end, and Dallas was able to come from behind and win. So that was game one of the week, Thursday night. Let's go through our records, and then we will go through the rest of the picks for the week. All this brought to you by my friend Dennis Ingraldi at Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey, for all of your real estate needs. That is Vineland Realty Corporation in Vineland, New Jersey. Whether you want to sell, whether you want to rent out, buy, please just know that Vineland Realty Corporation is there for you. Get down and see my friend Dennis. His girl Friday is Helen. Go down, tell them you came from the cheap seats. Their phone number, 856-690-9482. That's 856-690-9482 for all of your real estate needs in South Jersey or anywhere. If you're watching the show, because if you call that number, 690-9, I'll have to bring it up again. Memory is gone, folks. So it's 856-690-9482, 634 East Landis Avenue. Dennis and those folks have all kinds of resources, not just for South Jersey. Dennis can pick up a phone and make some calls for you too, for anywhere. So give them a call. That's Vineland Realty Corporation in Vineland, New Jersey. We thank Dennis and the folks down there for supporting all the Public John shows, including this one from the cheap seats right here on Public John Radio. So let's go through our records so far. For our 12-week totals in straight picks, Bill is 117-75, 61% accuracy rate. And then it's really moving up there for Bill. We're pretty close to neck and neck there. Odds, against the spreads, Bill is 100 wins, 74 losses, and 8 pushes, which is 58%. I know we're going to crack that 60 mark real soon, both of us. So we're getting there, but Bill's up on me on that one. And over under, Bill is 90-80 with 3 pushes at 53%. Nice job, Bill. He was under at one point and has really made some big strides on the over under. Bill edged me out last week. Well, actually, picks wise, we were both dead even at 11-5. A good week for both of us. Picks, Bill's got me by about a game and a half. If you count pushes, it's 115-74. I'm at 61% as well. Wins and losses is 95-81. Pushes is 4. So my percent is 54%. So Bill's edging me out at the moment on the spread, not by a lot, but we're both doing pretty well. And over under 96-79. I have 6 pushes, and my percent is 55%. So we're right, both on par with the over under. We were both way behind on that, so we're doing pretty well. Last week's picks, of course, Bill and I were both 11-4. I was only 8-8 against the spread. Bill again, or 11-5. I'm sorry. I was 8-8 against the spread. Bill was 11-5 on the spread as well. So good week for Billy. And we do 2 separate systems, but they both seem to work for us. I use an eye test kind of. Bill does the numbers and and checks a lot of stuff out and a little more analytical than I am. So it makes it interesting, and that's part of why we do this show. It's a big part of why we do the show. The two different methods and the fact that we're both successful in two different ways. Remember, we're always picking against Vegas's spreads. So we're already behind the 8 ball when we do it, and then we're picking against that. So let's go into the rest of this week's games. The teams on buys this week: the Baltimore Ravens, Chicago Bears, Las Vegas Raiders, Minnesota Vikings, and the New York Giants. So you've got some teams out there that are off this week. I think it's the last week for buys, and we'll double check on that for you. But time to go into this week's picks. Indy versus Tennessee in Tennessee. It is Indy is picked by 1, so it's almost a pick 'em. 42-point over under. Billy picks Indy to win the game. Somehow Tennessee to cover. I'm thinking that's a mistake, but I'm going to go back in and get a hold of them and look at that, because at 1 point I can't see how Tennessee would cover if it's only a 1-point spread and Indy's picked to win. I take Indy across the board. I'm thinking Billy is too, and we're both taking over 42 points. Though I think it's going to be close to the 42 points. I think it'll be edge. It's a big game for Indy. Well, Tennessee too, but really a big game for Indy to stay in a playoff hunt. And they actually have a shot at their division. So I think Gardner Minshew's doing what he's supposed to do, handle the ball and make enough plays for Indy to win. Problem is they are going to be without their star running back for a couple of weeks, and that might hurt them. But I still think Indy's got enough to beat Tennessee today. And I'm getting a hold of Bill in a little bit. I'm pretty sure that's going to be Indy across the board. I'm looking here. Next game, Atlanta and the New York Jets. Over under 33. Atlanta's picked by 2. Same situation here. I got to get a hold of Bill. I don't think this is right either. He's got Atlanta winning the game, but the Jets to cover. The way he's picking it, the way it looks like, is it would be Atlanta by 1. That could be, but I don't think so. I get a hold of Bill. I think it's going to be Atlanta and the over for Bill across the board. I'm taking the Jets across the board. I think they got enough to beat Atlanta. I think they have a better defense than Atlanta's seen in quite some time. And change at quarterback, I think the Jets are going to try and rally around. And it is in New Jersey, I believe it is. Yeah. So I'm taking the Jets all the way on that one with the over. We're both taking the over there. Detroit, New Orleans. Detroit is picked by 4. Bill has New Orleans covering. It's a 48-point over under. Detroit winning the game. I have Detroit all the way across the board. Both of us took the over 48 points. Houston and Denver. It's a 3-point spread for Houston. It's in Houston. Bill took Houston to win the game. Denver to cover. It's an over of 47 points. I took Houston across the board, 47 points as well. Chargers in New England. It's 39-point over under. I think it'll be over that. I'm taking Chargers across the board. Bill's thinking it's going to be under 39 points total, and it's a 4.5-point spread for the Chargers. He's taking Chargers win the game, New England to cover, and that may not be a bad pick. So Arizona at Pittsburgh, 6.5 points. It went up over the last couple of days. Arizona, the over-under is 41. I'm taking Arizona and the over. Pittsburgh's offense, their defense has been keeping them in games. They've been doing just enough, but I think Arizona's got a little bit more offense, especially with Kyler Murray back. Bill's got Pittsburgh winning the game, Arizona to cover, and the under 41 points. I'm going to say over only because I think Arizona might put up a couple of points, but I'm taking Arizona across the board in the over. Miami and Washington, it went to 8.5 instead of 9.5. I don't know why. 49.5-point over under. It is in Washington. Bill's got Miami to win, Washington to cover, and under 49.5. I'm taking Miami across the board and the under as well, because I just don't think that Washington's going to score many points. Miami may get 35 or 40, but I don't know if Washington's even going to get 10. So we'll see what happens there. Carolina, Tampa Bay. It looks like Tampa Bay is picked by 3. It's in Tampa. 37 is the over-under. I'm going to take the over as a barely. I was going to take Carolina, but I'm not now. I'll be honest with you, I'm going to switch it as we speak. And to prove that, here's the pen. I am going to change it as we speak. I just think the Tampa Bay is going to cover by more than 3. It might be 4, but I'm going with Tampa Bay to cover. We're both going the over 37, though it's risky with these two teams. But I'm taking Tampa Bay to cover, and we're both going over. Bill's taking Carolina to cover the 3-point spread. San Francisco and Philadelphia, tough game. This is probably the game of the day, folks, and probably the game of the week. It's the 49ers in Philadelphia. The Niners are picked. Philadelphia is a home dog, actually. 47.5-point over under. The Niners picked by 3. Bill picks the Niners to win the game, but the Eagles to cover. I'm an Eagles fan, got my hat on, and I'm rooting for them. But there's a difference between money and your heart. And I'm going to think that the money is going to be with San Francisco. We're both going over the 47.5. I think that's right. I think it's going to be a shootout. Two pretty good defenses, but I think the Niners have the edge. Better linebackers, and maybe one more weapon than Philadelphia has, and that's McCaffrey. Swift, the Eagles combination running backs are going to have to do a lot to keep up, I think, with McCaffrey's output. They're still without, the Eagles are still, I think, without Goddard. He may play today, but he's not 100%. Kittle is one of the best tight ends in the game. You still got Deebo Samuel. You got Ayuk. Philly's got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, but I think they're a little short at tight end. And I think that makes a bit of a difference. I think it's going to be enough of a difference for San Francisco to edge out Philly by more than 3. It may be 4 or 5, but I see San Francisco winning the game, a close one. I hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting Eagles, but we'll see what happens. Rams will host Cleveland. Rams are picked by 4. Cleveland has to start Joe Flacco today at quarterback. Their young rookie who's been playing since the injury to Watson, DTR, is out with an injury today. Flacco was just picked up off his couch after managing the car wash, taking over for Walter White in Breaking Bad when he's met his demise. In other words, Flacco hasn't been doing much. He was on the sideline last couple of weeks, supposedly not in uniform, helping and guiding, quote unquote. But he will now be thrust into battle against the Rams, who have a pretty good pass rush. I mean, when you got Aaron Donald, you got a pretty good pass rush. Rams are coming, and they're going to come after him. Flacco's got less movement than I do, and I'm 60 some odd years old with no knees and a spare tire that's overinflated around the middle. And Flacco's got less mobility than me. So that'll tell you something right there. I think the Rams will win the game across the board. They'll cover the 4-point spread. It's a 40-point over under. I'm taking the over. Bill took the over, and Bill took the Rams to win, but he took Cleveland to cover. He thinks Cleveland might stay close enough. I give Bill credit. We're right there neck and neck. He's got a little better record than I do. He might know something I don't. I just don't see it. But Bill is really, really good at this stuff. So chances are I'm going to be wrong again. But I'm taking the Rams over Cleveland. Bill's taking the Rams over Cleveland as well. And I'm taking them to cover. Bill thinks Cleveland will cover. And we both went over on the 40-point spread. Tonight, Sunday Night Football. My other team, the Chiefs, will play the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. 43-point over-under. Chiefs are picked by 6. We both did the same thing. I took the Chiefs to win. Bill took the Chiefs to win. We both think Green Bay will cover. I think the Chiefs will win a close game. I think closer than it should be, but I think that's what will happen. We're both taking over 43 points. I think barely. Wouldn't surprise me if the total's 45, 47 points. But I think the Chiefs will edge out Green Bay in Lambeau. Bill thinks the same thing. I think Green Bay will cover. So does Bill. And last but not, well, maybe least, Monday Night Football game, Cincinnati and Jacksonville. It could have been a great game if Joe Burrow was playing, but he's out hurt. The point spread is 9.5 now for Jacksonville to win by. And it's a 38.5 point over under. We both took Cincinnati. Bill took Cincinnati across the board. No, I'm double checking that. I can't see that he took Cincinnati to win. Yeah, that's not accurate. It can't be. I know he took maybe he took his upset special. We do every once in a while have one. And I'm going to double check something here for you because this says Bill took Cincinnati. Yeah, I was wrong about that. That's a mistake. He is taking Jacksonville to win the game, Cincinnati to cover the 9.5 point spread. I think it'll be Jacksonville across the board. I think they'll beat the spread. They'll beat Cincinnati. We both took the over 38.5 because I think Jacksonville, I'm sorry, is going to run some points up. The Bengals aren't going to have a whole lot of offense without Watson, or at least, without Burrow. So Jacksonville is going to win this thing. I think they're going to win it going away, and it's going to be by more than the 38.5 over under, because I think it's going to be about 40-20 or something. So maybe not even that close, but I think it'll be Jacksonville. They may score more than 38.5 by themselves. So we have some differences. I'll tell you what they are, and then we will skedaddle away. The big sports news we were talking about last week, Angel Reese is back with LSU. Big thing this morning will be probably about another hour and a half from the time I'm taping the show here at Public John Studios. Thanks everybody for all their help here. The technical people adjusting on the fly with putting Billy on assignment right away. Is that the college football poll comes out, and of course, everybody's worst nightmare, Alabama beat Georgia in a close game last night for the SEC championship. Georgia was rated number 1. Alabama was number 8. Florida State wins to stay undefeated. Washington nips Oregon, who was a 1-loss team, knocks them back to a 2-loss team. Washington was in the 4. So it's going to be interesting to see, does Georgia get kicked off of the top 4? Does Alabama figure a way to squeak in? Michigan did win their game, so it looks like it could be, if it could be Michigan. Georgia might get knocked out. It could be Washington and Florida State. So it's going to be interesting to see who the 4 teams are. Going to be wild. If Alabama sneaks in, I sit back and watch the fun fly with the college football chaos. I will admit, though I'm not an Alabama fan, I do enjoy chaos. So a little unexpected flavor every so often in this world. In that small world, when you think of the world itself of NCAA football, it is now a gigantic mess. That there's some guys in a room somewhere, probably Kansas City, I think is where they meet, and they're going, what do we do? What do we do? After they finish their first couple of bagels and a coffee or something, or a couple of coffees, they're going to start figuring out, what do we do? Georgia went from number 1 to maybe being out of it. Alabama, I think Nick Saban was lobbying last week when he made a remark about, well, if there's no team in from the SEC, it's I forget the word, but a scandal or something along that lines. It's disastrous or something. But that, I think, was the lobby for his own team, thinking if we win, we should be in the top 4 to get to play for the championship. I mean, that's what a coach does, and it's smart. So gonna be interesting to see what happens. Does Michigan move up to number 1? Ohio State, are they going to squeak back in now because they had that close game with Michigan? Could they squeak back in? You got, in the last year of the Pac-12, Washington wins that. Are they going to get in? Then the big thing is Texas having only 1 loss and winning the Big 12 championship. Are they going to get in? So a lot of people are thinking it's going to be Michigan. It's going to be Florida State, Washington. I would say Michigan, probably Washington, Florida State, because those three are all undefeated. And I get the feeling Texas might squeak in because of Texas winning. I believe they beat Alabama. So why would you put them in over? Why would you put Alabama in over Texas? But NCAA committees, when it comes to football and especially March Madness basketball, unpredictable. There's always people that get knocked out. I would think, though, if Alabama gets in, there's going to be a lot of complaining. But that's going to justify next year's expanded playoff. But that's a whole different scenario that we'll talk about down the road from the cheap seats. Speaking of from the cheap seats, that's it for me. And Billy, who, like I said, did send in his picks. He is on assignment, and we will go over everything for you next week. Enjoy the NFL games today, everybody. Any other sports news that comes up, we'll let you know. Baseball's hot stove has been pretty quiet. The Flames are out right now, but you never know. February's coming, and I think that's when they have the big winter meetings, and you'll see some free agents and trades starting probably in late December or January. So hang in there. Basketball's kicking off. Hockey's kicking off. It's all just getting started. And we will talk to you soon. From the cheap seats, I'm John Harris for my pal Billy Smith, who's on assignment, like we said, and for all the folks here at Public John Media and Dennis Ingraldi and the crew over at Vineland Realty Corporation in Vineland, New Jersey. Make sure you get a hold of them, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland. Thanks, everybody. Have yourselves a great weekend. Enjoy the NFL games. We'll talk to you next week from the cheap seats.